This program is a presentation of UCTV for educational and non-commercial use only.
Hi, thanks for joining us, Technology Management Program. We're delighted to have a friend and repeat visitor now, Alexander Manu. I'll have Jenna do the intro. I could say Alexander has spent a whole day discussing, dialoguing with students, and I know there's a lot of you folks here who've had some tremendous discussions with him, so we thank you for your time and insight, Alex. It's been very enriching for the students here at UCSB. We appreciate that. Here, Jenna, thank you very much.
Yeah, so I was lucky enough to spend a good portion of my day with Alexander Manu, and he's a fascinating man, so I'll just like to introduce him a little bit. He is the senior partner and chief imaginator at InnoSpa International Partners. InnoSpa International Partners is a worldwide consulting firm that's main purpose is to reshape business thinking by helping large corporations explore and define new competitive spaces. He also teaches innovation, foresight, and business design at Rotman School of Management in Toronto and is a professor at the Ontario College of Art and Design. His energy, creativity, and his new innovation ideas will absolutely blow your minds and give you a lot of food for thought. So without further ado, here's Alexander Manu. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Oh, yes, you can. I'll be spending an hour and 5 minutes with you. If I go over that time, I beg you to leave very quietly so we can continue, because I may get carried away. It's a pleasure to be here again. My last visit here was cut short by an unforeseen incident, so I looked forward to coming here. My challenge was, how many of you have seen my presentation last year? So I had to do something new. So my question is, how many of you had seen my presentation last year? So I could have done the same thing. Well, I may start in the same way, but you can never do the same thing twice. The way I look at these presentations, each one is a rehearsal for the next. But this is not why they are different. They are different because you are different and because a year has passed since last March. Do you realize what happened in the world in the last year? Twitter, for one. Now everybody's on Facebook. Obama got elected. Last year when I was here, I played, I believe, the will.i.am song, Yes We Can, and everybody was puzzled, like, what has this got to do with anything? Well, it turned out it was very important. So my objective today is to connect you with you, is to make the point that if you want to design the future in a different way, you have to design yourselves and your expectations in a different way. So to do that, you have to understand who is it that you really are. A lot of people think they know who they are, and we tend to walk through life thinking that we understand where things come from, but we never really dig beyond the surface to ask, why do we do this? To challenge the things we do every day. And the things we do every day are the things that create the economy. And you will hear me say this at least 20 times today. The activity creates the economy. Now, if the activity doesn't have any revenue or generation or any money being exchanged, then the economy does not grow. How many of you go to YouTube? Point made. You go to YouTube, you probably lose money if you go to YouTube if you were in a business. Do you think you are unique? No. millions and millions of Americans go to YouTube. I come from a country that has recently established a record, which I'm not sure is really good to have. It's the #1 country of YouTube viewers. 19 million people watch YouTube videos every month. You know, guess how many videos they watch? In 1 month, 2.5 billion videos. Billion videos. It takes 75 years to count to 1 billion. Think, without stopping, without eating, sleeping. So that's a big number. So I'm looking at behavior. What is it that we do? That's the manifest thing. We go to YouTube. My interest as an innovator is, what is the motivation? What motivates people to do what they do? Technology, which is creating the allowances for us to do certain things, and business capability. What business capability can we create as people involved in technology, business, science, art, culture, out of what people do and what technology allows them to do? This is called strategic foresight. When these three forces are combined, you have a business. You are creating actually something of value, something that people may pay or they don't pay for, but some transaction takes place. So, designing yourself, designing the future, or the other way around. Define your future and you will design tomorrow. I played a little game with some of the people that I met today, challenging them to imagine themselves 10 years from now, or to imagine themselves traveling to Paris in September this year, to demonstrate that if you create a plan of a desired outcome, a desired destination, you will be engaging tomorrow in achieving it. So foresight innovation is not about the future, it's about tomorrow. So the future is only what you want to reveal next about yourself. And to understand the importance of this statement, and by the way, this will be funnier as we go along, okay? So it seems very dry right now. We have to understand who you are. So who are we? What do we want? Where do we come from? And the moment in which we start this presentation, we have 7 moments or 7 themes, is this idea of because we can. We do things because we can. I long ago stopped asking why do people do things. I don't want to know why you go to Facebook. I want to understand just the fact that you do, and to try to maximize this act and this manifest behavior into some opportunity for other people, businesses. Why you go to Google is clear, you are curious. How does Google make money with your curiosity? In many, many different ways, but you don't pay. So, do you know this? Why?
Charlie bit me. Ah. Ah. Oh, ouch. Ouch. Ouch, Charlie. Ow! Charlie, that really hurt.
Watch this guy.
No, Charlie bit me. And that really hurt, Charlie.
So, 59 seconds, okay? Charlie bit my finger. How many of you have watched this video before today? This is the economy. How many of you have watched other Charlie bit my finger videos? How many of you watched the adult version of Charlie bit my finger? Hilarious, right? Hilarious. Now, can you explain to anybody why you are enjoying this? Can you explain why did you laugh? Do you understand the process that allowed this to become part of your life? 2 parents filming their children in a normal day. Why do they film it? Because they can. They find this funny. You found it funny, right? They find it funny. They think you will find it funny too. And they have a computer. And they have a very simple program that allows them to transfer this thing to a thing called YouTube. Well, does it have any logic? It has the logic of action. It doesn't need to have any logic. It doesn't have to be explained to anybody. They just do it. So they do it, and March 2007 they do it. Then people start liking this thing, and they start copying it. They copy it, and then they start making remixes of it. So then you get guy on guy, Charlie Beat My Finger, girl on guy on girl, guy on guy, the whole thing. Then you get adult versions. So then you get remixes, first of all, by children. Just a bit of this one.
Charlie bit me.
So the same format,
Ouch!
just playing with timeline.
Oh, Charlie! Oh! Charlie!
Okay, so obviously you liked it because you laughed, right? So the guy who did this, he was 12 years old, my son. So he took it, modified it, expanded one section that he felt was funny. So essentially he used Charlie Bit My Finger as a platform for his creativity. Did not change the story. So then you have reenactments, which is a famous reenactment, you've seen it. So two adults, like how can you call this adults?
Charlie bit me.
You get it. Charlie bit me, the same thing. They are using the exact timeline, the exact text, so they are using Charlie as a platform for their own expression. They are not creating a new Charlie. Then you have remixed reenactments, and then you have songs, Charlie Bit My Finger and It Hurt. And then you have embedded video and blogs about Charlie Bit My Finger. So one act of a set of parents somewhere in England created a culture that generated 95 million viewers only on Charlie Bit My Finger, the original, as of today. 95 million sets of eyes that were not in a different place, but here. Well, that affects communication, it affects advertising, it affects entertainment. And then you have a total of 6,219 videos made by other people based on this storyline. So now look at the electricity that was consumed to do all this stuff, and multiply it by billions of videos, okay? So what is the question to which Charlie Bit My Finger is the answer? And my personal opinion is, how can I participate in the shaping of the present? Nobody asks this question when they produce the video, but this is why they do it, to be part of the moment. How many of you uploaded videos to YouTube? Why did you do it? The first answer is because you can. The second answer is, did you upload any video? About what?
It was about a dog just messing around.
You found that thing funny, and you said, I'm going to share this with 6.5 billion people. Did you go to Sony, and did you ask permission, or to CBS, or to any of the Hollywood types and say, can I do this, please, sir, please, sir? No, you just did it. Well, this is completely different than 15 years ago. This is profoundly changing culture. So, platform for participation. So now think, if you are in the communications business, what do companies need to create platforms so people engage in participation? So emerging behavior is essentially stuff that people do at the same time in multiple places, and they create a movement that is unstoppable. We are trying to make sense out of these movements and connect the dots, and very few people connect the dots because very few people look in different places at the same time. This is what I do. I look at different places. I look at Flickr. Have you seen Flickr Vision? Flickrvision.com. The world moves where people post. The ideal wallpaper for your computer. Any screensaver will never beat this. This is you participating in real time in somebody else's life. Do you realize the technology it takes to do this? And you have a Twitter Vision right now, so you can see where people post tweets from. And you say, why would people do this? And the answer is, because they can. So now we need to step back and think, what does this mean? Because we can. But before we step back, we need to clearly understand this is the activity right now. And there are millions and billions of people engaged in this activity. In the States, 124 million unique viewers per month in February, on YouTube alone. You go to many things, right? Not just YouTube. Then you have 9 billion videos watched per month. 9 billion instances in which nobody made revenue. These are stunning numbers. So 77 videos per viewer, in Canada 112. I'm convinced not every American watches 77 videos, so I'm convinced therefore that some watch 1,000 and some watch 400. How many do you think you watch? Do you calculate? Do you keep track? Are you serial watchers, like you go to YouTube and watch 20 at one point? That's what it is. That is, so the activity is the economy. Now, the activities have meaning. Activities are signals of change, and they are questions. So the idea is, what do you see depends on what questions you ask. If I show you this bottle of water, which looks like a bottle of water, actually you see a container. To see more, you have to ask what's inside. To see more, you have to ask, where is the water coming from? To see more, you have to ask. So more questions you ask, more you see. So the same applies to technology and behavior and everything else. What questions do you ask of this? When this showed up in the marketplace 2 years ago, it was obvious that the questions to be asked were, what is in the black space? What will come next? What will be there? How many of you have an iPhone? How many applications do you have? 30. Do you find that amazing? That you have 30 applications, and you can have 25,000 applications, right? So the App Store was launched July 9th of 2008 with how many applications initially? 1,000, less than 1,000. Today they have over 28,000 and they sold over 1 billion applications downloaded. You know what that means? 1 billion applications, that's 3,000 a minute. I was tracking it 2 weeks ago when they were about to reach 1 billion, and they were selling over 1,200 a minute, or downloading. So my point, and a famous quote from Goethe, any part is a manifestation of the whole, not just a component of it. So what I look at is, what does this instance mean in the large picture? This happens to be the landing of Christopher Columbus. You see 3 guys with swords and stuff in a boat. What questions would you ask of him if he landed right in front of you? What question in your home? You are naked in a beautiful island, and this guy comes in with 3 other guys, armed to the teeth, dressed in clothes you've never seen, with symbols you've never seen, crosses and stuff. What questions would you ask? You have to say something to them, right? So you can't open your arms, welcome, steal my gold, kill my people. You have to ask some questions. So you ask, where do you come from? Well, I come from the other 3 boats. But beyond that horizon, you have to understand there is a logical, intuitive kind of explanation that people come from some place and things come from another place, and eventually an unfolding map of somebody's presence, or of YouTube, Facebook, Napster and so on, results in something much bigger than the thing itself. So if you ask him the right questions, hindsight will not teach you anything if you ask where you come from, because you've never been to Spain, you have no clue. Insight, you have to understand he is there for a purpose. What was the purpose that Christopher Columbus had in mind when he landed and discovered America? Anybody knows? What was he after? For what purpose? Spices. So I'm going to reduce the discovery of a new territory to a very simple thing, pepper. So now you have to understand that we have constructed navigational routes to India to bring pepper home, okay? And some other spices, cumin, cinnamon. Why? Because of the yum yum. We are creatures of yum. Like, we are created to consume these things and to add the spices of life, which may be healthy or not. So then when you see, and you ask a few very simple questions, you see this, but you get ready for this, which is what happened. This applies to every technology. This applies to every behavior you see. When I see Facebook, I'm ready for Twitter, because Facebook had the Twitter questions embedded. What are you doing now? My favorite posts on Twitter are lies. I write about what I'm not doing and what I did not do. So I made a whole journal of what I did not do since 1975. And occasionally, Fridays, when I have certain inebriating drinks, I have 120 posts. In 1975, I did not graduate from Oxford University. So I am not in Sao Paulo right now. So imagine we create a movement like that. It will start playing with the credibility of the medium, which is very interesting in my view as an experiment. So the new context is, and I mentioned maps today, starts with Web 2.0, which is the ability you have to create, distribute, and manage content on the web. And if you add to that the fact that the web is now mobile, the compound effect is absolutely clear. So we have all these things, LinkedIn, MySpace, YouTube, Google, Xbox, iTouch. Why is the Xbox relevant? Because games went from the basement to the living room. And PlayStation 3, if you think about it clearly as a machine, is the most powerful computer you have next to your car. And now you have flat screen TVs, and that means you don't need TV stations anymore. I don't know how many of you watch TV, but I'm convinced your kids will never watch TV. They will watch whatever sliver of a program they want, created just for them, by you. So you see the dots that are not yet marked. This is what my job is, to figure out what will be there. And as this stuff grows and grows and grows, and that's the kind of map I was mentioning today in the meetings with a couple of you. And this is the latest on-off and off-on people. Look at, this becomes life 2.0. Your life right now is completely connected to the internet. You admit that? How many of you go online every day? All of you. So online, oxygen is what you are breathing. Now, that cannot be ignored because everything you see here is the activity. So this is the activity. You see here a spot called Blick. Blick is a company in England that gives free phones to people that reach 15. From 15 to 24, you get a free phone. What are you required to do? Go to blick.com and you'll see. All you have to do is receive messages from Blick and pass them on to your friends. They figured out a Twitter system way before Twitter. Now, the messages cost you nothing, but they're advertising messages, obviously. So there are many, many business models in this whole thing. How many of you are familiar with this thing, Sell a Band? Another great business model. Website where people upload their music and the public votes on who is worthy of the top prize, which is $50,000. And you are in a band and you can upload. No, very simple case, Lily Allen. You know Lily Allen? Lily Allen launched her career on MySpace. She subverted the entire network of agents, publishing, permission asking people. Like, this is a new life. This is life 2.0. So, and we are all connected by what? This thing, the Internet of Things. The Internet of Things, which is here right now, means that I'm connected with you, you are connected with other people. We are all right now a collective intelligence which is expressed in the memory of your devices right now. The total of what we have in this room in memory, IBM in 1975 never dreamt of this kind of stuff. How many gigabytes do you have on your phone? I mean, imagine this. A 16 gigabyte phone. That's amazing. That's 16 gigabytes of information. So everything media means participation, empowerment, and a new way of communication. A new way of communication which includes communication between people and between objects themselves. I want the vacuum cleaner that I have now to give a good report about me to my new vacuum cleaner. Because I want my vacuum cleaner to behave and be nice and never break down. So this is how the App Store transformed the crowd into an audience, and an audience into a partner, essentially compressing the value chain in exactly 3 steps: create, debug, distribute. And this is 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, they were switching numbers every minute, thousands of apps a minute. Then it completely exploded into 3,000 a minute, and they reached 1 billion about 15 days ago. Did you know that? 1 billion applications. You know, they sold more than 1 billion songs. So Apple is today the largest distributor of music. So when we think about companies, life, business models, we have to keep on learning all the time what we knew things were. So here's a very small description of, and short, of the value chain as it used to be. And at every single step on the way, people can add value, and many groups can add value inside the company, outside the company. And then the user need is met. And the new value chain, which essentially includes behavior, technology, and opportunity mapping, and then designs, experiences, products, services, an entire slew of new things that did not exist. Develop, make, market, but what is the end result? It reveals a latent behavior, things we never knew we wanted. I never knew I wanted to use the internet. I wasn't born with the internet. I never knew I wanted to spend 2 hours playing PGA golf on PlayStation 3. But I made $22 million in the game. And initially, in the old game, I made enough money to sell my profile. Right now, the profile is dynamic, so it changes as I play. But in the old game, you could sell the profile when I reached a lot of money and attributes that I could beat Tiger Woods on a Sunday. If you play the game, you will know. I sold it on eBay in 20 minutes for $800. You know, I spent a lot of time playing, so I recommend it, actually. So this is the new value chain. Develop, test, distribute. Do you see any management? Do you see any gates? Do you see anybody saying you cannot do this? Do you see anybody being around your shoulder saying, no, nobody's going to buy it? No. If you think this is good, you have some friends, they will think it's good. If you laugh at your kids' jokes and you film it, you think your neighbors will laugh at them too, so you put them on YouTube. And before you know it, 95 million people see it. If we can only make money like this, that'll be great. But that's the next step. Let's just engage people in the activity and then transform the activity in the economy. Any questions? So here is the thing. The point about questions is answers are very easy. But what do you need to get an answer? You need a question. So the talent of discovering the future in yourself or others is to ask questions. What could be possible? The answers are to be found as soon as the question is there. So what are the questions? The bigger the questions, the more interesting the future. So here's one of my favorite questions, and I've been working on this for the last 8 years now, or 7 years. If every person, object, and place could talk to one another, what will be the subject of their conversation? If I understand what is the subject of the conversation between people, objects, and places, I can create, for now, lots of iPhone applications. This is called location content. This is location awareness. This is obvious stuff. This is you and your car stopping at a traffic stop, a red light. What question should the red light ask your car? It's a logical question that the traffic light regulates traffic. That's its mission. The traffic light needs to know stuff about your car. That question could be embedded. It's a normal question. What do you think the question should be? The question is, where do you come from? Because I want to know how busy, where are you going is another question. And your question will be, how long do I have to get there? What is my arrival time? And the car will say, the traffic light will say 15 minutes. You say, I want to get there faster. How much are you willing to pay? Well, I gave you a budget already. Oh, can this happen? Can the traffic light call your car and say, take this route, I'll give you $3, and you pay $5 to get this on? Traffic control, air traffic control, that's what it is. This could be silent commerce with your GPS unit and the street light. This can happen. This is easy. This is happening right now with air traffic. So why is that an important question? Because everything right now is ruled by data, which is on your phone, moving from your phone to other phones or other objects. How many of you doubt that at one point money will be eliminated by a device in your pocket that transmits credits and receives credits? Do you doubt it? You don't doubt it. So in Europe, you can pay many things with your phone, right? You can pay from a remote location your parking when you are parked and you think you are running out of time, which is very clever. Like, wait a second, I have to go put money in the parking meter. No, I can just phone the meter, pay. So essentially, they're very simple, obvious questions. This is what a lot of people are working on right now. Who, where, what? So you look at data, information, knowledge, and it has to become meaning, purpose, and wisdom. And this is essentially what you are working on in your project, Alex. That's your project. And most projects that I deal with are essentially transforming streams of data which we generate because we have these devices into meaningful conversations and meaningful products and services. So what does a place want to know? Why did you come here? What have you brought? In other words, who are you? Where are you when you are not here? Like what profession? What do you do? What can I do for you? And how can I improve myself now learning what I learned from you? That's exactly what you tell Google every time you go. Every single search you make on Google gives Google the answers to these questions. Who you are, where you come from, what do you want, and they improve themselves to the point of making 12 cents every time you search. But they don't charge you anything. So we did a little test today, and I urge you to do this test. Get 10 people together with 10 computers and search the exact same term in the search box. You'll get completely different answers, different listings. You know why? Because of your individual IP address and your previous search record. And until you see it, you'll never understand why Google is such a powerful company. Because they're smart. That's why. And because you are saying to Google when you use it, use me, use me. I'm nosy, I'm curious. Use me, use me. And make money, okay? Use me, which is phenomenal. Can you apply that model to other business models? Absolutely. So, change and frameworks. And here I prepared 3 essays, very short. The first one is 2 minutes, second one is 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and the last one, closing, is 6 minutes. Closing of the entire thing. So right now, watch this. It's self-explanatory, so the music didn't work, surprisingly. But anyway, what was that about? Competitive innovation. How we got to one point in civilization, competing with the other animals. So you realize that our history of designing the future was initially protective. I want to be alive. I want to survive. I can't run, so I'm going to build a chariot. I can't fly, so I'm going to build wings. Every single tool we made was an extension of our own will to arrive at a different destination. So we always had something more than the other animals outside the instinct of survival, but it is manifest in a couple of objects we designed that were not competitive, were pre-competitive, came from a different place in us. So this innovation, competitive, does not create a strategic advantage. We were not better than the other animals. We were always weaker in many respects, physically, I mean. So we mitigated a weak position. Most innovation in companies is competitive. So I'm using this technique of bringing you to us as humans to understand that our humanity is moved from us into companies, and the same competitive streak takes place in companies, when in effect we need to be pre-competitive, which means create things that don't exist. We take great ideas, funnel them through fear, and this is exactly what the App Store has removed from everyday life. We funnel great ideas, we mitigate them because they have a disruptive capacity inside the company, outside in the marketplace. They're influenced by external disruptions, and we allow maybe a solution that is not the exact original idea, not as big, but it's palatable to everybody involved. So the funnel answers this question: how can I fit innovation to business? In other words, not how to design the future, but how can I ensure that in the future I will do roughly the same thing I'm doing right now in my business, maintain my business, but improve slightly certain things, tactical things. Pre-competitive innovation comes from a different place. Comes from pure desire, understanding who you are and what you want to be. Understanding that you are somebody who wants to tell a great story about a civilization thousands of years in the future, in which a certain Skywalker, or whatever his name was, does things with Princess Leia. And you don't know how to tell that story because you need amazingly new equipment to tell that story, and you invent a new way of making movies. And with that new way of making movies, some other technologies which are patented all over the world, and they create medical tools, they create imaging tools, they create mixing tools, and a whole digital editing thing called what was the first? What we have right now as QuickTime and iDVD and all that. Avid was a digital. So what Star Wars created was a culture. From what? From the desire to tell a story, which if you read on paper is a really bad story, but it captivated you. It's a myth. We live out of mythology. We don't want to be like the other animals. We want to tell our story to the animal next to us. We want to share that story, expand it, write sequels and prequels, which is the most amazing thing. So what's the most successful movie last weekend? The prequel to X-Men. X-Men was not bad enough. They made a prequel. So essentially what I was showing you here is take an idea, apply insight and foresight, and explode it into many opportunities. This is the business of today. So the challenge is not in how to fit innovation to business, but in how to fit business to innovation, which means how to create a business around an idea. This is how we design the future, understanding that we can create new businesses. So how many of you are graduating this year? All right. So all this stuff will make more sense in a couple of months than it makes right now, once you see how corporations operate. But you heard of the term disruptive innovation, right? In my view, there is no such thing as disruptive innovation. There is disruptive behavior, things we do. There are disruptive technologies, technologies that supplant the incumbent technology, and disruptive business models. The Apple iTunes store was a disruptive business model to the record industry. How did the record industry react to Napster initially? They went to the police. So they said, please, arrest my customer, my user, my consumer, put them in jail. I don't want them to steal the music. So that's lack of understanding of what are the moving forces of the economy, the activity. Instead of saying what Apple said, look, these guys are changing files. These guys are willing to give up their computer to make it a music machine. So we need bigger storage devices, more compression in MP3 technology, and let's open a store where people can exchange this stuff. They didn't have the iPod, by the way, when they created the iTunes store. So disruptive business, this is what this is. I urge you to constantly think, the BlackBerry, any smartphone, of the disruptive business potential of this thing. The fact that you have in your pocket a store. Do you have a store? You have everything. Everything on the planet can be here right now. You can order your life from a device in your pocket. You can see everything, buy everything, be known to where you are. You are identified as you. There is a direct message that comes to you from a corporation. That's the future of advertising. That's the future of a lot of business. So business will be local and one-on-one, but on a global scale. So you could be identified by a company in Tokyo that you are here in Santa Barbara doing certain things, and they can offer a service. Now, that's unprecedented. That cannot be managed with the same mindset that we managed the businesses of the past. So applying now the same thing to Christopher Columbus's arrival. Here is the disruption, Christopher Columbus. I don't need hindsight. I need insight. Who is this human being? What does he or she want? Hindsight, I learned nothing. From the moment in which we discovered fire, the life of humans changed completely. You know why? We became a different animal. We cooked food. Cooking food creates the industry of all the things associated with the transportation, slaughter, not only cooked food, we cooked meat. Meat, when it's cooked, is a bit different than meat when it's not cooked, right? It changes your brain. So these are not trivial things. So what hindsight can I apply when I discover fire? Oh, I'm going to do the exact same thing. What did we do 1,000,000 years ago? Foresight is what you need. So all these things that you see here diagrammed may not mean a lot right now, but this is how businesses operate. They need to understand, where does this disruption fit in the realm of our company's scope, and what can we do with it? So my point, and what I'm trying to transmit to corporations and institutions in general, that in change, and change is what we do every day, every single thing is change. Every step I take is change. Innovation is the constant, and business is the variable. That's very hard for people to swallow as a company. Like, how can my business be variable? Well, your business can be anything you want it to be at any time. The way you monetize what you know is variable, because what you know changes, the conditions change, your audience changes, technology changes. To keep doing what you are doing is to be in Detroit and go bankrupt. So constant and variable. So think of this, constant and variable and change. So change is stimuli. Very few people get stimulated by change, because change happens and you don't think you need to react in any way. But change, and probably you've seen this movie, Independence Day. So what is one of the most amazing scenes in Independence Day? The thing shows up, and the hippies go on the roof and try to make friends with the thing. And, what is the reaction of the thing? Oh, I took that slide out. It goes, essentially it tells these people, this is who we are. We don't want to be friends with you. And then the US military, after they lost a couple of million people, they send 3,000 aircraft. You remember that scene? 3,000 aircraft lined up like this, shooting at the thing. So here's the new thing I've never seen before. I'm applying hindsight. Big thing, you should add. If anything threatens you, my hindsight tells me I'm going to take the Army, the Air Force, and blast them out of the sky. They go there, they shoot them, nothing happens. So the thing is, try to understand the nature of the thing, which is eventually what they did. So change is a challenge. If you react to change as a stimuli, then we lose a bit of our humanity, and we are giving up on understanding stuff. So, and this is what most companies suffer from. No process for acting on intelligence. Like, they see it, it's right there, it's given to them in a report, but there is no internal process. What do we do with this stuff? The legacy they inherit, the structure of the company and change are rarely compatible. So now imagine what we need to do in the new corporation of the future, what you need to design where you go. A place that is flexible, a place that understands change and reacts to change the way you reacted to knowledge as children. Foam. Foam absorbs water. When it absorbs water, it changes a bit its nature, doesn't it? It floats differently. So legacy metrics, the way they measure stuff is from a legacy. Legacy processes. Legacy knowledge. So there's a lot of unlearning that needs to happen on a constant basis in everybody's life, including your life. Your life 5 years ago, if you remember what you did 5 years ago, you'll be stunned how different you were. Imagine companies. So legacy suppliers and lack of agility. This is what we have lost from the human animal. We don't have the agility to react to stuff as a group. We always think in a company, and you will feel this when you enter the workforce, somebody else is thinking about this stuff. There is somebody in an office somewhere thinking about this. The reality is there is nobody. So desire as ethos. You can see I'm getting close. That's number 5 out of 7, right? I put the numbers here so you see the pacing. What's the time? We're okay. The music doesn't want to stop. I have to stop it. So, okay, we'll look at the moon, okay? Do you find the moon attractive? Anything on the moon? Any oil, any coffee, flowers, pepper? Sorry? We don't know. Do you think we went for the helium? This is why we went to the moon. Yuri Gagarin, the Russian astronaut, cosmonaut, was sent to space at one point. 8 days later, President Kennedy sent this memo. And the memo said, do we have a chance of beating the Soviets by putting a laboratory into space, or by a trip around the moon, or by a rocket to land, or by a rocket to go to the moon and back? What's the essential ingredient here? Do we have a chance of beating is the thing. What is the desire expressed in this memo? The desire to beat the Soviets. There is no rationale. There was not an option not to beat the Soviets. There were no goodies on the moon. So the only reason to go to the moon was to beat the Soviets. So what is very interesting to me, I don't know if you can see it, is this thing. Are we making maximum effort? Are we achieving necessary results? And the line, how much additional would it cost? This is the ideal CEO. This is the ideal CEO. I want to beat the Soviets. How much money do we need? And are we making efforts? This changed your life. This created us. This created the economy. This created the internet. This created many, many, many things. So never underestimate the role that NASA played in the industrial development of this country. And NASA is the foundation of what? The desire to know, to understand, and to beat the Russians. So essentially, there's three things: desire, technology, and capability, which looked like this in 1961. We had the desire, but we had zero technology and no capability. Not zero, minimum. So the thing is, how do you align the desire with the technology and the organizational capability? You paint a picture, and the picture was, I want to put a man on the moon by the end of the decade. That is very powerful. That's very emboldening. In the 60s, that's extremely powerful. So the largest expenditure of all time in a conflict age. So that's a strategic desire. Provides benefits, defines roles for a lot of corporations, and shapes the future. Desire is the expression. I want to beat the Soviets. Want is the articulation. We need a rocket. And need is the manifestation. Put a man on the moon. We need to put a man on the moon. So what do you desire? Do you ever ask yourselves, what do I desire? You are all here because you desire something. You are not in school because you don't want stuff. You are not here because you don't want to become. So my essay on how do you know that you exist when you desire, you have to think about it. We all desire something, and we need to face the nature of that desire and articulate what would it take to meet that desire, and that becomes a want. And then articulate what would it take to achieve the wants. That's a need. So humans and choice. Why do we do what we do? Because of this word, Ubuntu. It means in the Zulu language, me through your eyes. Everything we have done in the history of our civilization, outside of surviving and killing animals, comes from this desire to be seen by other people that we exist. We built churches, temples, things, create an enormous number of tools to do what? To demonstrate that we exist and to ask this question, which we ask every day on the phone, in Facebook, in Twitter. Can you hear me? Can you hear me is not about hearing. It's about you and me. So I exist because you see me, and you exist because I see you. I don't want to play the game of close your eyes and, and feel. We can do that if you want, but you get the point. That's a different lecture. So our questions are desires. Your wants are choices. So if you think the planet is in danger, examine your wants. They are all choices. You desire something and you brush your teeth. Brushing your teeth is a choice. With brushing your teeth, there is an economic penalty. There is an environmental penalty. Flushing the toilet, environmental penalty. All of you flush the toilet today, environmental damage. But it comes from us. We are the only animal that wipes our butt. We have to edit this out. Or not, sometimes. So, wants are destinations. So what we want is where we go. What we want is what we eventually achieve. So you wanted to do something in life, and you are right now here. And you will be tomorrow or in 3 months in a different place for the same reason. So your destination is determined by what you want. And you want some things because you desire a different way of life. And you desire a different way of life because you are not a tree. That's why. So these are very maybe simple but rarely discussed issues. To be is to desire. This is Maslow that wrote the theory of human motivation. Humans are perpetually wanting animals. To want is also to become. And I'll give you the moment in which we stopped being competitive and we became pre-competitive is the moment in which we defined ourselves as the animal that will sleep on a pillow. Any other animal sleeps on pillows? Do you realize the industry we created to make pillows? And what do we do with the pillow? It's comfortable. So imagine the boardroom that accepted this proposal. Every time you run in a business competition, imagine humans, how they really are. We sleep on pillows. We cook stuff. We wipe everything. Our mouth. We wipe our mouth with, today we had this, we wipe our mouth with tissue. You know why? Because your mother told you, don't wipe your mouth with your hand. That's absurd. Now we have to make tissues. So, you know, amazing, right? Every one of you was told, don't wipe the thing with your mouth, with your hand. Every one of you. So we have to invent stuff. And then we have to wash it. So we have to invent a washing machine. And then we have to invent soap. And that creates the economy. So there is no mystery of why we need oil. We need oil because we want to brush our teeth, okay? Because everything is run by energy. So we brush, and the most amazing thing, we grow flowers and we don't eat them. We give them to one another. We say, honey, I love you. All right, that's neat. But I want to make it obvious, manifest. Here's the flower. To do this, I have to fly the thing from Colombia into a jet plane, into a special tube, so the flower doesn't get damaged. So I'm going to go to Colombia and tell Colombia, you have to get in the business of cut flowers, and you have to ship to the US thousands of tons of flowers a day, because my honey and me have this thing. But think about it, you never questioned it, right? And when you receive a flower, you don't see its journey from Colombia or Holland, or you think it grew here somewhere. Well, big news, it doesn't. So it grows specially for this moment. So we are animals for which symbols are important. And we buy phones and we put an old phone ring to them. That's probably, I have the same ring. Who has this ring? You do? I have it. I love it. I grew up with it, actually. But here's another important thing in connection to today's lecture. We are the only animal that makes plans. What's your plan? Make a plan. Make a plan for the next couple of years. Make a plan to do something concerning something that you are worried about, or unsure about, or happy about. And we are the only animal that hopes. And hope is the largest, biggest business model on the planet. I don't want to give its name, but there's a thing in Rome. There are many places where hope is being promoted. So the activity creates the economy. And another way of looking at it, the manifestation of the phenomenon, the fact that people do what they do, is its own theory. I advise my clients, don't wait for the theory to be written. Just observe the phenomenon and react to it. And today we played a lot of animal games. I was throwing papers at him. And because it's normal. If I throw something at you, you're going to react in that moment like an animal. That's what I want in corporations. That agility of doing what humans do. So, desire in everyday life. We are getting very close to the end. You notice that, right? So we buy flowers. We drink coffee every day. Do you drink coffee? Do you grow coffee in your backyard? Do you have a coffee culture, like coffee plantations in the United States? No. So where does coffee come from? And where does coffee rank in the list of commodities? What do you think? Is it more, do we sell and buy more coffee than gold? It's second largest. Oil is the largest. But second largest is coffee, and the first largest is oil, so we can bring the coffee. Of course it makes sense, because we sent Christopher Columbus to India to get pepper. But think about this, this human. So, mapping desire. 6 fundamental human desires that no other animal can manufacture, but we manufacture it. We not only like it, but we went out of our way to create plants that create sweet stuff. Sweet is in everything you eat. If you walk into a supermarket, 80% of all the formulas will have sugar or sweets. This is stunning. Coca-Cola is a company concerned with sweet. Will not exist. I didn't grow up drinking Coca-Cola. For me, it's completely foreign to drink these things. I grew up in Romania. Sweet was rare. Sweet was a treat. But then we have smooth. There is no reason for smooth. You know why smooth exists? Because we like it. Because it feels good. What else feels good? Skin, smooth. Smooth, smooth. Baby's bum, smooth. What does smooth mean then? Youth, youth. We are after youth. Shiny. What does shiny mean? Healthy. Would you buy a tomato that is not shiny? No. Soft. There is an industry of soft. There is an industry of smooth. 3M makes sandpaper, right? And then you have the pillow people and the people that take leather and they transform it. And then we have fragrant. Our desire for fragrance, which is manifest in pepper. Then we have intoxication. I personally love it. There is an industry that does this. There is another industry that creates machinery that makes you feel like you're flying. Another industry that creates the biggest roller coaster on the planet, the purpose of which is to scare you. And you stay in a line for 3 hours with your children, and you take this thing and you scream for 20 seconds. Or you drop from an elevator that stops. This is what we are. We want to maximize our adrenaline, and we do it in 1 second. Have you taken that elevator that stops? Amazing, eh? Did you scream? Did you plan to scream? It's unstoppable. There you go. So the screaming part was the animal in you. The other stuff was the planning. I'm going to drive the car 68 miles to this place, park it, pay $200, stay in line for 4 hours, and drop. That's it. This is what you have to tell in your next interview. I took this thing, and I was screaming. Then we have beautiful, which is a combination of a lot of different things, including smooth, soft, shiny, and so on. I don't know why this is beautiful, but most people like it, right? Well, look at the elements. It is soft, it is shiny, it is smooth. I could have used other pictures with the same characteristics, but it would be a different type of show. And the adults or the children would not be allowed in the room. But pleasure is the #1 thing we hope for. So if we dig deep, deep into ourselves, this is why we want pillows. This is why we want all these things shiny. It is the pleasure of life. If we deny it, then the economy suffers. Everything I showed you is what the economic system is about today. And nobody talks about it this way for reasons I don't understand. These are the 10 Dow Jones industrial sectors as you have them today. Basic materials, utilities, energy, healthcare, technology, capital goods, transportation, consumer staples, communications, financial, and consumer cyclical. The large circle, which is leaving a mark in the human condition, the stuff that we need, we're all about, is untapped right now. And this is what Facebook is, what Google, what MySpace and Twitter, that's where the future of things is in a large circle. Analyze any of the companies within these 10 categories, and you'll see they produce something. Look at Procter & Gamble, 300 brands almost. What do they make? Smooth, sweet, soft, shiny. You cannot find anything else they make. The largest consumer packaged good companies in the world. Second largest, Unilever, same things. So mapping everyday life is take the automobile and understand what does the automobile create. You know, problems, exhaust, roads, air pollution, some good things, insurance. So we create behaviors and tools. This is a system that is linked. Employment, demographic redistribution. So the automobile has a couple of very important benefits. Expertise. The financial system is changed. Housing is changed. Concentration, urban concentration is changed. The quality of life improves because now you can move outside a major city, all because of something. The food chain changes. Now you can have fruits from various parts of the world constantly. Debt, affordability, proximity. So this map shows you what one single object creates as a system. So my question is, how is this map not you? Which things in this map are not part of your life? Everything. Every object that I can place in the center of this diagram is actually you. So you are to be redesigned if you want to change that system. So I can make these maps available so you can go like this. So civilization is a journey towards creating the conditions we want. Think of this. I know this is an unusual kind of lecture. I hope it was an unusual lecture for this group, because it asks you to look deep inside yourself and to understand why do we create what we create, and then we need to manage, and then we need to sell. Because we want to create media to express ourselves. Various ways. The first question we ask of everything, how is this media for me? How is PowerPoint media for me? Is clear. How is the cell phone media for us? Is clear. Can you hear me? How is this media? So Apple is media for me. Steve Jobs is on my map. I know that my life would have been different today without Steve Jobs. And I'm facing this every day, and I'm proud of it. I'm recognizing this thing like Kennedy recognized he wanted to defeat the Russians. It was simply no alternative. But to articulate that's very courageous. So how is this media for me? So innovation creates culture. And I will end with this idea that the iPhone is not just another phone. I'm not ending yet, but I have 5 minutes. It is a way of life. You realize this. And you will realize it in the next couple of years even more when this becomes indispensable. So innovation is not about products or culture. It's about creating a better way of life. So if you look at designing the future, you have to design the future in terms of what do I want of me in the future? How what I want of me can create a better future, a better way of life. Now, who are we designing? Who are you working for? You're graduating now. You'll be working for this guy.
Smeagol is a normal person. Gollum is constipated. When he talks, he has to look constipated and feel constipated. Let me just explain. Here's a Smeagol. Very tender, very juicy. Here's a constipated Smeagol. Very tender, very juicy. You see the difference? And let's do Gollum. They are tender, they are juicy. And a constipated comes. They are tender, they are juicy. Well, that's all for today. Back to
you know what he's talking about, right? Gollum and Smeagol, okay? The difference between a kid doing this in the mirror and a kid doing this on camera and then uploading it to YouTube is huge. So the me through your eyes really works right now. And then, this is my son, many years ago. I was writing a book at the time, and then he decided to write and publish a book by himself. How many of you know of lulu.com or many other sites that self-publish? You can send them your thing, and you get the book on Amazon in 25 minutes. This is all a thon. Takes place in 2413. Really bad book. Great game. It's just like the Da Vinci Code. Terrible book, but great game, because you read it as a game. You are following the puzzles. You are solving the puzzles. This reads as badly as the script for Star Wars. It's about the same thing. It's actually Halo. If you read the subject, it's Halo. Do you play Halo? Do you doubt Halo will be one of the biggest movies of all time? Not for your generation, but for a lot of people. So he is your typical user, creator, publisher, critic. He knows. You cannot teach this guy anything. And this is the problem you will have when you enter the workforce, the clash between what you know and who you are and the people that will manage you. If you ever have to explain to your manager what Facebook is, resign. So, and he does that because he can. His only benchmark is our human benchmark. Wow, I never thought I would need this. So the question I always ask, if this technology happens, what will people want to do with it? And this is a very fitting end to this whole idea of benchmarks. This is Michael Faraday. He invented the electric motor. For what purpose? Because he can, maybe. He tried. So there is a connection between the ambiguous nature of innovation. Why is it ambiguous? Because he was asked this question, what use is electricity for? So you are Michael Faraday in 1850-something, and you are asked what use is electricity for by the Prime Minister of England. What answer do you give? It will change the world. You get shot. So he gave a very clever answer, which I guess should be the answer you should give every time you are asked, what use is your innovation for? In your case, it's a perfect answer. Sir, there is every possibility that you will soon be able to tax it. So the Prime Minister of England got a very amazing answer. He probably, by the way, that should be the answer to everything, as far as governments are concerned. So finally, and I will really ask if you can, in the last essay, to turn the lights off, because I won't be speaking anymore. It'll be much nicer for the audience. This is not about triviality. This is about asking questions and actually defining your direction. Informing and shaping that direction will be the answers that you have, but the questions have to be courageous. What can you do? What do you want to do? And you can never find that if you don't ask very courageous questions. So I want to leave you right now with a short closing essay. If the lights can go off, that'll be great. If not, we'll have to go like this. Thank you.